Welcome to the REEL-Craven County Schools' newest podcast to be able to share the great things that are happening across our district. And today I have the privilege of being with Miss Christy Mendez, one of our head school counselors at Havelock High School, an extraordinaire. And so I am so excited to have you here because I know how much you love talking about your students and all of their great accomplishments. So welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is because we are at the end of the school year, closing out 23-24 and already working for the great success for 24-25. And in doing that, one of the things that we do is we ask our students to self-report their scholarships that they've been able to secure over the course of the year. And right now, I know that Craven County Schools is sitting at approximately, I think it's 15.7 mil, which is a great, if I could do like
Very
the
impressive.
fake applause.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's very impressive. And a lot of that is part of Havelock High School. So you all are sitting at a little bit over 5 mil, I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
So kudos to your students. But
Yes,
a lot
ma'am.
of that comes from the work that the counselors do. And I don't know that everybody necessarily understands that. And so while we're celebrating the great dollar amounts that our students have secured, I also wanted people to understand the work behind the scenes so that they can go forward for next year. So if there's things that we can do to far exceed that, obviously we don't want to leave money on the table, and we want those in the hands of our students.
Yes.
So talk to me.
Okay.
Tell me about how Havelock High School has been so successful this
Okay.
year.
Well, you alluded to the fact that the school counselors do a lot of good work, but the majority of the work lies with the students. They're the ones that have to do the applications. They're the ones that have to keep up to date with information. We can be the vessel and share a lot of that information with them, but they're the ones that actually have to follow through. And people, I don't think they realize how stressful it is for seniors.
It is.
I think you've had some seniors here lately, and so you would know, but it is extremely, extremely stressful for seniors. I think a lot of folks think, okay, it's winding down time. We just have a couple more credits to earn and we'll graduate. But those that are heading to 2- and 4-year colleges really start a lot of work, and they start as soon as we come back to school in August.
Right. So they hit the ground running.
They hit the ground running. One of the first processes we begin with is looking at merit-based scholarships because they have a very early deadline date. There are some very specific merit-based scholarships that we do lead our children that we are allowed to nominate on behalf of our schools. And so there is a process that they have to interview with us and submit essays that they have to go through to be eligible for our nomination. However, all students, irregardless of GPAs, are allowed to self-nominate for these merit-based scholarships.
And I love that you emphasize all.
All students. One of the things that we do to facilitate the all is we do share that information with all of them. But when we do come back from summer break, hit the ground running, as you say, we will meet with specific kids that may be more eligible than others because of their GPAs to start that process. And we do invite quite a few students to be considered for those nominations. But again, we do communicate across to all seniors that they can self-nominate. It has been our experience that the kids that self-nominate have kind of made it a little bit further in this process in the last couple of years. So I don't ever want a family or a parent or a student to say, if I don't receive the school's nomination and I self-nominate, I don't stand as good a chance. That is just not true.
Yeah. So
and especially this year, it is not true.
And one of the things that I know that you also do, is it a weekly email sharing scholarships?
Yes, ma'am. So when we come back from summer, we will probably share maybe an email to them, just reminding them, getting them set, getting them ready. We might send that monthly as we get closer to Christmas, bi-monthly. But as soon as we get back from Christmas break, they will receive an email every Friday. And we choose Fridays to send out that email because we hope that they'll go straight into their weekend thinking, okay, now I have a little time to follow up on some of these recommendations or resources that have been shared with us. So,
and this is a pretty extensive list because I've seen
yes,
what it is that you've created, which is incredible because it's not just local scholarships. It's also state as well as national opportunities. So I think that that's very impressive because you've built this so that people, you've taken the legwork that they sometimes have to do on their own to research to find them, and it's all in one place for them.
It's all in one place. But I do want to give a shout out to Valerie Nassa and Lefa Palmer, because they did also provide us with a very extensive list of things that are relevant to military affiliated students. So that has done a lot of the legwork for us. And we do post that, we do share that, we do hyperlink it. It's on our website so kids can access it. But I do also think my colleagues from all my other high schools, we're in conversation with each other about making sure our practices kind of are aligned across the system. And we want to have a database somewhere that all of the high school kids will be able to access. And that's something we're going to work on next year.
That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
And so tell me about the essay, because I know that that's critical in terms of getting the scholarship reviewed.
Okay.
So do you all help them in terms of the essay?
Yes. And I'm glad that you asked that question. So that help comes from a plethora of places. And sometimes you don't really know what all goes on behind the scenes in the curtains. But some of our students in our teacher cadet program class, they're receiving help in writing their essays and a little extra nudges from that instructor, Coach Wiggins. But Missy Murphy is our course teacher, and she also will support the kids in those endeavors. Our AVID students in AVID 4, that class, that elective is typically in the fall, so that it can facilitate kids applying to colleges, kids applying for scholarships. They get help there with their essays. And then a lot of kids will sometimes send it to our counselors in our department and say, can you read this for me?
Oh, wow.
And we absolutely love reading it because usually we get to, sharing someone's journey.
Right.
And you learn things about students you did not know before. And, I guess how blessed they are to be where they are because of the work that they and their families have put into their world, into their education. So
what a great team approach.
Oh, yes, ma'am. So they get the help from everywhere. Yeah.
And so it sounds like you're getting to learn little nuggets about students that you might not necessarily have known.
Absolutely.
I love that too.
And you just can be so amazed and impressed by some kids are extremely talented.
Yes.
In what they can do and what they can write. We've even asked parting seniors, can we please use your essays as an example, the ones that you've shared with us, and usually they do give us permission. And so we tell people why they're good.
Right.
And the pieces, if most of what our kids do right is really good information, but sometimes they just need that catch. What's going to make that reader get hooked? What's the hook? Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And it's very personal too.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So now tell me, do you interact with parents a lot through this process?
I would say probably not as much as we would like. I would love for parents to be invested and involved. We do get questions about, I don't know where to start.
Right.
In emails or phone calls. And we tell them, well, a very good place to start is with the emails that we send out every Friday, because they do keep a running list of things that are eligible, deadlines, amounts that are available. And we also offer parents, if they need more, to come in and speak with us individually. And we'd be glad to schedule those meetings with them.
Yeah, because that connection, I think that piece is very important and critical.
And we welcome them. Please call. Yes. Please do call.
That's great. And open doors, as I know.
Yes, ma'am.
It's always that way. So one of the other things is I had the privilege of being able to attend your scholarship ceremony and awards ceremony this year. And one of the things that I was so impressed with is the students who are continuing by being enlisted and the amount of dollars that they received from the military. So, wow. I mean,
yes, ma'am.
That's all I can say. So, in the recruiter who was there, who was on stage with that big check, that I loved. I'm taking notes because I want to do some things for next year when I do the Bangert Scholarship.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that it was obvious that he had formed relationships and connections with those students. And I'm sure many others through that process. So tell me what that looks like, because that doesn't just happen.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And he's affiliated with the Navy, and he is probably one of the best recruiters that we have. He is there weekly. And he is either asking for ASVAB results or he's already got those ASVAB results. And he is constantly asking the lady up front to contact students and pull them out of class when it's an appropriate time to pull them out of class so that he can meet with them.
Right. So they're not missing instruction time. He's not interfering with their learning. He's
Correct.
there
Yes,
at a
ma'am.
time that's convenient for them.
Absolutely. One of the other things that, and this year was unique in that they had never really reported those amounts to us before.
Right.
So it was quite impressive what students who choose to enlist in the military can earn. Some of the money that was reported is bonus money, and some of it is geared towards their post-secondary plans. And it's quite, as you were there, very impressive.
Yeah, I was just amazed.
So one of the things that our school has done is we've increased our testing in our ASVAB from just once a year to 3 times a year. We can sit up to 30 students in each session, and we've had full sessions. We even work with our early college in case some of those children choose to change their path. If they would like to sign up to come take the ASVAB with us, we invite them to participate with us at our school. So with the 3 sessions, we are finding more children. Those scores are immediately reported when they're available to all of the recruiting offices. And a lot of times those recruiters will come and physically say, can I meet with, can I meet with, can I meet with? It is also offered at the end when those results do come in that someone will come in from one of the services and provide the children with how to read and interpret your results, an interpretation meeting. So our children, we make them. They must participate in that because a lot of times they will be told exactly based upon their results what job they would be best suited for and also what branch. We also invite each one of the armed forces, each one of the branches to come out at those meetings so that if questions and conversations and recruiting can happen immediately after, then it's there and it's available. And we do have quite a turnout.
Well, I'm just thinking, when you're 17, 18 years old, how critical this is. And I think about what color is my parachute? Because you don't necessarily know what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And so, and I always joke about, what do I want to be when I grow up? And, we're not going to talk about my age, but obviously.
Absolutely. And, the state of North Carolina does have a drive. They ask the kids, what's your E? And there are 3 E's. I hear there's a 4th coming out. But are you going to be employed after high school? Are you going to enlist? Or are you going to enroll into college? I hear entrepreneurship is also coming down and on the way. So
because we have some influencers.
Yes, ma'am. And we are liking and hoping to be able to guide our children in any one of those 3 areas, but have a plan so that after high school, there is something for them. For everyone.
Right.
So we focus very hard. And one of the blessings is when those kids come into the office and they get their results and they're excited and they have to come tell everybody.
Yeah.
We already know them.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We pretend as though it's the first time we've ever heard it and we get excited with them.
Lots of celebrating.
Yes. And by increasing the number of testing sessions, it also gives those kids the opportunity that it did not score the way in which they needed to score a chance to get there so that it is not, okay, I didn't make it, I'm done. It's not over until it's over.
That's good to know.
Yes, ma'am. So
I was really
yes.
fortunate, I think, because I had a chance to come down and interact with some of your seniors and students who you were so proud of.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And I didn't know if you wanted to give any of them a shout out because I was so, I keep saying impressed because I really was. There's no other word. We have some amazing students.
We do.
And I don't know that we necessarily get, not that we deserve the credit, but they deserve the credit and the highlights and the spotlights because they're amazing. They're not only working or participating in after school activities or athletics or whatever it might be. And then excelling in the classroom and then writing articles for colleges and entrepreneurships. And
absolutely.
Things that they've achieved that everybody might not necessarily know. So is there anything that you'd like to highlight or spotlight now?
It's kind of hard to pick.
I was going to say, because you have so many.
This was one of our longer awards nights that we've ever had before. And we knew it was going to be long. And we made the decision to forge ahead because there has been so much that our children have accomplished. We've already talked about the enrollment piece and the dollars that have gone towards scholarship monies for our kids, which is astronomical, what 42 students have reported.
Wow.
We have probably 3 times that many going to college, and not everybody did report, but
Right.
42 students reported that money, and that is inclusive of our military students. But, we also have students that have been pushed because we have a CDC, a career and development coordinator, oversees our career and technical classes at Havelock High School. And she does a lot to facilitate taking kids on field trips to waste management plants or to the Sun
FRC
Journal or
East.
FRC East. So we had a number of children with amazing accomplishments. One young man in particular has an apprenticeship at Bosch that not only will give him employment and benefits for the next 2 years and all the training at no cost for him, benefits, paid leave and vacation are also included in this arrangement that this young man has. But if he chooses to extend his learning beyond that, he'll have a 2 years degree from the apprenticeship, but he has the opportunity to extend that to a 4-year degree if he wants. So
That's incredible.
We can't forget that I'm as proud as that child who has that merit-based scholarship that their 4-year college is paid for, as I am of that young man that it has this apprenticeship, or the 5 young ladies that are doing paid volunteer internships at Craven Regional right around the corner at the hospital.
And let's not forget your teacher cadets, who
Absolutely.
we all hope come back and teach in Craven County.
Absolutely. I keep telling everybody, I've got to. We've got
two teachers.
Guys, when they come back for the summer, don't let them just enjoy their summer. Call them and give them some things to do and start nurturing those relationships with them. And they're 2 great kids.
Yeah.
I can name a lot of names, but I would not even know where to start. There's just so many.
I think you touched on some just by
Yes,
the
ma'am.
things that you've mentioned now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Havelock High School, I also want to give a shout out because you all were also the FAFSA winners for Dr. Miller's Cookout Challenge this year. Our goal, I know she set a very lofty goal, was to try to get to 80% completion. And we knew it was going to be challenging because of the new form and process that came out. But still, you guys exceeded the other traditional high schools with 44%. And that was an early report number. And I know that those numbers still continue to come in. And I think you all were at 44%. At the end of May. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. And again, that
To
comes,
the kids.
Well, again, and the families, but I mean, a lot
Yes,
of that
ma'am.
comes from the work of the counseling department and the things that you do. So is there anything that you'd like to share in regards to that?
Oh, well, absolutely. That was kind of a divide and conquer process, and everybody kind of took, the reins of their own drive from Mrs. Slocum, one of my colleagues. She has her own children going to college, and with the new FAFSA, she sat down and did the demo.
That's
so
nice.
that she would know how to advise children, and she created PowerPoint presentations. We went into the seniors' econ and personal finance classes. The teachers let us in. All the seniors have to come through those classes. And we kind of did a presentation for them on what this new FAFSA looks like and what's most important. The state at state and the federal government had been saying, get your FSA IDs done, get them done, get them done. That's the most important thing. So that's what they heard. So from her work going into the classrooms, I followed up in those presentations with, okay, FAFSA doesn't pay for everything, so there's scholarship money. So we talked again about the scholarship opportunities for them. To Miss Martinez, who's our newest counselor on our staff, there was a homeroom where we could go and use cfnc.org, see which ones of our seniors had not completed their FAFSA. And on Fridays during homeroom, we would go to the homerooms, pull the children, and sit down and meet with them. And anybody we couldn't capture at the end, she would sit down with them, everybody's children, mine, Miss Slocum's, hers, call home, call parents, and just encourage everybody to get it done. So it was, it was a whole
Team
department
effort.
effort. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Well, it sounds like you all are not letting anything fall through the cracks. So I'm
We're
definitely in awe of all of the work that
Yes,
you
ma'am.
do, and it does not go unnoticed.
Yes, ma'am.
And so thank you. And I know as a school counselor, this is not your only responsibility. So this is on top of your other school counseling
ma'am.
responsibilities. So kudos to you and your team.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations to Havelock High School for the amount of scholarships that were awarded. And I know, and you probably know this as well, there's probably a lot more dollars that we don't even know about.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Since it's a self-reported number. So we encourage, I'm sure you're telling all of your students still, don't forget to turn in if you want to share.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. They are told that they have to report whether or not they've earned a scholarship, just so that we know who has not shared.
Right.
And if there is a child that we know should be college bound, then we can maybe follow up with them and ask. So yes, we still want them to report it.
Yes. Well, thank you for all of your
Yes, ma'am.
efforts and all of the work that you do. And we appreciate you coming on to share this great news and information.
I thank you so much.